Hi everyone, Jim Lapointe here with Colden Company, and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about an underutilized part of Microsoft Office 365 called Teams. Teams will eventually be the successor to Skype for Business and is a chat instant messenger client, and as we're about to find out, a whole lot more. It's the fastest growing collaboration client in the market, outpacing competitors like Slack by quite a wide margin. And Teams is included in most Office 365 packages at no extra cost. Your business just needs to download it and start using it. Before you do, however, it's important that you take some time to plan the implementation. It can be a great tool for collaborating on projects, or for your sales team to focus on a new potential sale, or for your support folks to have a central place to store information about customers and projects. So sit back, relax, and follow along with our presentation on using Microsoft Teams. Okay, before we get into the Teams demonstration here, I just want to tell those of you who are not familiar with Colden Company a little bit about us. We're an IT services organization, computer folks. Our business was founded in 2003. We have offices in upstate New York as well as northern Florida. Our customer footprint spans out quite a ways, 16 different states and 3 countries. And we have many leading technical certifications, including many Microsoft certifications, and we are a Microsoft cloud partner as well. So let's dive right in here to our agenda, which is we're going to discuss what is Microsoft Teams, get into the benefits, and then we'll show it to you. So at its core, Microsoft Teams is a collaboration tool. Its most popular use is as an instant messenger or chat client. So it is, as we mentioned previously, going to be the heir apparent or successor to Skype for Business, which does those things as well. Microsoft Teams has those capabilities. You can do video and audio chatting as well, or video calls, I should say. And it's important to note that it's integrated with Office 365 and is included with most subscriptions. So unless you have what they call a perpetual license, not the cloud subscription, you're going to have access to Teams, which is great because it's an included tool. It's not going to cost your business any more money. Why not take advantage of all the functionality within Teams? So what are those benefits? Well, of course, we mentioned it is the chat. Because it's tied with Office 365, your chat history is saved. It's going to show you the last conversations that you had on the Teams screen. But the entire history of that is actually being saved in your Office 365 tenant account. And you are able to start video or audio calls from within a chat window. So if you're chatting with someone and you want to actually talk to them, you can do that, or start a video session, you can do that as well. There's another tab for Teams, and you can create work teams for collaboration on projects. You can either define who belongs to those teams, or you can make it a public team if you like, which allows anybody in the organization essentially to join that team, or you can lock it down as a private team. As the owner of the team, you have that ability to decide that. And again, it's all integrated with Office 365, so any conversations inside of a team, any documents that people upload into Teams, those are all going to be saved for you with Office 365. Now you have channels underneath Teams, so it's a way of organizing threads for a team. So for example, you might have a thread for a particular customer, you might have a team for a particular customer, and then you might have different channels for different projects for them. So it's just a way of organizing the communications to keep them pertinent and not getting too muddied or muddled. You can set meetings or schedule meetings within Teams. It is Outlook integrated, so anything you schedule there will show up on your Outlook calendar. And there's really a number of integrations and connectors, really too many to go over in a short video here. Integrating with lots and lots of apps, many Microsoft apps, including Planner, OneNote, and Stream, some outside apps like Twitter, There's lots of integrations and connectors to make your team experience more powerful. Okay, so let's now go ahead and actually take a look at the Teams interface. Here on our screen, you can see the Teams interface. One thing you'll notice about it right off the bat is it takes up a lot more screen real estate than some of the other products that you might be used to, like Skype for Business. If you do decide to shrink the screen down because it's taking up too much space, you'll find that you may lose some of these columns here, and you won't be able to find things that you're looking for. So it's best for now to keep the window at the full screen that it is. Microsoft has said that they're working on a scaled down screen size here so that you'll have the same functionality but in a smaller screen. So that is something in the works at Microsoft. Okay, so we're going to start with the core functionality here, which is the chat and instant messenger replacement. So here I'm highlighted on the chat button. You can see I'm having a conversation with one of our team members here. And this is where you would type that instant messenger message down at the bottom here. You can see I've sent a few sample messages here. You can change the font. So if you were to click down here in the formatting, you can make your text bigger as an example. You can send emojis. If I want to send John a surprised face as an example, I can go ahead and do that. There's also GIF or GIF files that are pre-populated here that you can pick to send if you want to be entertaining. Up in the upper right corner here, we have your instant messenger status. They do not have the ability today for custom statuses. So what you see here are the available statuses that you have. You're either available, busy, do not disturb, be right back, or appear away. With Skype for Business, you can set custom statuses. That is functionality that has been requested by quite a few folks, but is not yet available in Teams. So right now I'm set on do not disturb for the purposes of our video here. Other things you'll notice, if I want to have a video call with John or an audio call or a screen share with John, I can go ahead and do that by clicking any of the above buttons here. I can also bring in more members if I want to bring someone else into the conversation. This chat history, if I were to scroll up here, it saves all of this chat history, Teams does. And because this is tied in with Office 365, that chat history will be available even if my computer were to crash. Let's say that were to happen, I get a new laptop. When I reload Teams, this whole conversation history is going to come back to me because it's stored in the back end of Office 365 and Microsoft's cloud. So that's a nice feature as well. A point of emphasis here is if I do add someone else into the conversation, they will only be able to see the thread since they were added. They will not be able to scroll back and see the history of the conversation that John and I had prior to them joining the conversation. One final feature in the chat that I wanted to point out is the Save Messages feature. So if I click on any chat message, you can see there's save this message. It's a red ribbon, and I've actually saved this particular message here. So if you get a particularly important instant message from somebody and you want to flag it so that you can easily get back to it, this is the way to do it. You save it, and to retrieve it, you would click up on your icon up in the upper right corner, click on Saved Messages, and there it is. It's going to show me the ones that I've flagged here. So that's a great way to find messages in your chat history that you need. Mark them as saved. Okay, so let's move on to the next button here. Right below it, we have a Teams tab. Again, this is some great functionality in Microsoft Teams. When you create Teams, the owner or the person that created it will become the owner, and they will have control over that team. And for the purposes of this webinar here, I've created a team called Webinar Sample Team. And in here, you can see if I click on these, what they call the ellipses, I can manage that team. So I can add members to it. I can change membership, or ownership or privileges. So if I wanted to make John an owner, I would do that here. I can add different channels. We'll talk about channels in a minute. I could leave the team. Editing the team allows me to change the team from public to private or vice versa. With public teams, anybody that's part of my organization can search for available teams and add themselves. With a private team, it's not open to everyone. Members have to be specifically invited to be able to join that team. One important point here, in the part of the presentation I talked about planning the implementation of teams. And what I mean there is, for example, when you create a team here, behind the scenes, a shared mailbox is going to be set up in Office 365. So if you already have a shared mailbox for a particular reason for your business, and you want to create a team to go with it, you have to do that in the right order, I guess. So if the shared mailbox already exists, you would have to activate teams for that in the back end of Office 365. Otherwise, if you were to create the team here in the team's front end interface, it's going to create a second shared mailbox. And that would make things very confusing. So you want to put some time and effort into planning before you go ahead and create all of your teams. Okay, there's an option here to delete teams. You want to be real careful. If you're done with a project, for example, if you were to hit delete here, it actually removes all of the data and all of the history of that team and all the channels underneath it. What's a better solution is to use the archiving feature. In order to do that, you're going to click down at this little gear here to manage your teams. And then once I'm in the manage section, if I want to archive a particular team, now you have the option here if you're in the manage screen, where you didn't have that on the original screen. By archiving it, it becomes saved in the back end of Office 365 and recoverable or retrievable in case you want to reopen that project or that team for any particular reason. Okay, there's a few more things we're going to show you about teams in a minute, but we're going to move on to channels. Every team that gets created is going to have a general channel by default. And then it's up to you to create additional channels for there. The purpose of channels is to organize the communications around that team. So you might have a team for a particular customer and different channels for different projects that you're working on for that customer. For our sample team here, I've created a channel for Project Mercury, and I've created another one for Project Venus. So what are these things? Well, if I were to edit that channel, you can see this is a top secret Project Mercury that we're working on here. And for Venus, this is a super top secret project that we're working on here. So I've got different channels for those two projects here. Now, a couple points of emphasis here. I'm going to send a message out here, test message. A point of etiquette here is if you want to reply to a thread that you see here in the channel, you really want to click this reply button. What a lot of people do is they go down to the very bottom and they start typing a response to that test message. It's going to create a new thread and they're not going to be lumped together. So the proper way to reply is to hit that reply button, and you can see how the conversations are lumped together. Okay. You can make certain teams and channels favorites. You can see this one as already selected as a favorite. If you have lots of channels and lots of teams, that there's so many that they're scrolling off the screen, the ones that are favorites are going to appear at the top of the screen. So that's just a way of keeping the ones that you most frequently use visible to you to help you organize yourself and organize your data. Okay. We also have some other tabs here, meetings and files. With meetings, This is integrated with your Outlook calendar. It's all the beauty of it being all part of Office 365 here. So if I were to schedule a meeting through Teams, it will automatically put that calendar invitation out onto my Outlook calendar automatically. You can invite outside people simply by typing their email address in, and outside people can be invited to meetings as well. There's also a tab here for files. I'm going to show you a little different way here to get to files. I've got a couple of files saved for our top secret project Mercury here. And these two files have been pulled into Teams, saved inside of Teams. On the back end, they're really stored in a SharePoint backend in your Office 365. But one of the nice things about Teams and its collaboration abilities is I'm going to be able to open this spreadsheet as an example and collaborate on that with a fellow coworker. So I'm going to show that right now here. I'm going to open our project Mercury. And I'm going to go ahead and edit it here. Okay, so I'm going to invite one of my coworkers to also edit the same spreadsheet here. And what we've got here is a count of some computers, users, and for our secret project, we use quite a few flux capacitors. So we've just made a big order, and I'm going to ask John to go ahead and update the flux capacitor total on our system here. You can see in real time, John has edited that, and we've got some conditional formatting here. So because it's more than 100,000, it turned green for us. But John and I can both be editing the spreadsheet at the same time. That's long been a competitive advantage for Google Sheets over Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft has bridged that gap with Teams, allowing both of us to simultaneously edit the spreadsheet. Microsoft has recently also extended this capability to Visio. So it works with Word and Excel and PowerPoint and some of the traditional Office apps. Visio, provided that the users are licensed for Visio, can also edit drawings simultaneously as well. So some very nice functionality there. Okay, a few more tabs here. I'm not going to get too much into this, but there's a lot of connectors and apps that you can pull in and use. Most of them are going to be Microsoft apps like OneNote and Planner and Stream. But you can pull in data from outside apps as well, like Twitter feeds and LinkedIn feeds and things like that can also be pulled into Teams as well. Okay, so that is a high-level summary of using Microsoft. That was our high-level overview of Microsoft Teams. It is an underutilized part of Office 365 that many businesses are not taking full advantage of. So we hope you found this information valuable. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us here at Colden Company via phone at 888-600-4560 or via email at info@coldencompany.com. Thanks for joining us.